Can we live in the future now? I don't know what do you think, but in my opinion, we could, But before try to explain you why, let's see who I am. So, I'm a serial tech entrepreneur, I'm an innovator, and a business visionary. So, after 17 years as an entrepreneur, I decided to start a strategy think tank to help companies in designing innovation, accelerating technology adoption, and help them bring in technologies faster and easier on the market. What makes me crazy is that in the world, there are so many innovations seeing the lights every year, but we are still using obsolete technologies most of the time. Let me show you some example. This is something that probably you know pretty well, so green energy. So we continue to think that green energy is expensive, not effective at all, and so on. But this graph shows that solar and wind now is less expensive of nuclear, for example, and almost of coal. And there are already some countries that are completely carbon neutral today. There are just 3 of them in the entire world. But think about if we started 20 years ago developing more the green energies, in what stage we could be today. Another example is less popular. I've been involved in a company years ago about mathematical modeling, and I don't know if you're aware, but in the world there are almost 50% of the diseases that has no treatments. Some because it's too complex to find a cure for them. Others because it's too costly, and there is, it's pretty rare diseases that make no sense for the industry to go over. But what comes out, and you can see here in the graph, is that mathematical modelings today are so efficient that their results are really aligned with the human behavior, with human physiology, And animal tests are not. So we are continue to testing new solutions on animals when they are providing data that are not aligned with the humans, instead of using mathematical modeling that are more aligned. Last example is about what you probably know pretty good in these days, is really a hot topic. So I don't know if you know the story about SpaceX and what Elon Musk tried to do in the beginning. So when he had the idea about creating a reusable rocket ship, he went to the NASA engineers or senior engineers with 30, 40 years of experience and tried to hire them with this concept. And the answer that he got was, it's not possible. It's not possible to create a reusable spaceship, sorry. So he went to the PhD students and tried to say to them, do you want to create a reusable rocket ship? Oh yes, it's cool, why not? Let's do that. This was the answer, and the rest is history, you know that. SpaceX right now is hired, so is a client of NASA. So, this is just some example, and this is why I'm involved in this kind of industry, I have a chance to make interviews also chief innovation officers of large corporations around the United States and Europe, and also the innovation consultants that normally work with these kind of corporations, asking them what are the challenges in innovation today, in the industry in particular. This is what comes out from the interviews. So there are many challenges, but we can group them in 4 different subsets. The match between what we are looking for and the innovation of the technology itself, the assessment of these technologies, the time that is a problem in everything, but in innovation, that we are really sensitive in times, but normally it takes a lot of time to do stuff. And we have the mindset. Let's explore it in details. So the match. Today we are overwhelmed by informations. There are, buzzwords, jargons, and so on, but there are also many, many innovations that comes every day into the market, and understanding them and try to figure it out, what we can do, what we can adapt inside our company is extremely complex, But what is really what we are doing wrongly sometimes is that we don't explore enough the need inside the companies and what the different technologies available in the market could do for us. This is mainly because we are missing knowledge inside the companies to really understanding properly what is going on the technology markets. Sometimes we are really, familiar with our verticals, but disruptive innovations are not arriving from our verticals most of the time. It's cross-industry, it's cross-technologies, it's cross-fields. So we need to have a deep culture to understand what is going on inside the technological market and how we can bring this inside our company, trying to align our match as much as possible and starting from them. Most of the companies are not starting from the match, are not starting looking for use cases that could be helpful for them, but are starting sometimes from technologies or for a specific problem itself without really seeing the big picture. Assessment is one of the parts that probably companies are doing just a bit badly, in the means that they spend a lot of time in, let's say, reading and try to understanding and teaching, and to knowing the technology deeply in theory. But innovation is done by experiments. So during the assessment, we should start running more proof of concept, collaborating much deeper with startups and technology itself, trying to adapt them. Because it doesn't matter if we fail doing that, but our culture inside the company will grow a lot. Will grow by test. And every time that we do more tests, more proof of concept, we become more knowledgeable about what is possible, what is not, what is good for us, and what is not good for us. And so we move forward. So for example, that companies are, KPIs is basics for companies. But when we are starting using budget KPIs, or better, financial KPIs inside our companies for the innovation process, we will fail. Because we need to understand how many things we are doing in innovation, how many failures we can do in this innovation, how many tests. These are the type of KPIs, how many discoveries we are trying to understand. Not how much money we are getting for a single innovation, because innovations will have a big returns in the medium long term, not in the short term. Time, yes, time in business, so it's crazy. And you know that time in innovation is pretty long normally. So to arrive to the market with innovative, disruptive technologies, you need years sometimes. But you don't have time to do that. You don't have time to spend in looking around what possible solution you can adopt. So numbers say that in the next 10 years, almost 40% of the Fortune 500 companies will vanish. 40% of companies will vanish, of the largest or the top companies in the world will vanish because lack of innovations. Because other companies will arrive on the market with more technological stuff, more technological solutions, and will make these companies disappear. So you don't have time. You don't have time to find technologies, assessment them, and so on. Today, just to find possible solutions, companies need from 3 to 12 months just for a list of possible solutions. and then additional time just to assess them. And then they need to adapt them. And just less than 1% of an initial list is really adapted in a time frame that is 2-3 years. And if you are choosing the wrong solution, probably you will be out of the market. So you need to change really the approach and say, let's work in a different ways. Let's try to make time our resources, okay? Let's try to make momentum. When a momentum can create opportunities, and the opportunities can create results, And if we can integrate this inside our culture, inside our company culture, okay, pushing also the entire company to trying to attract opportunities and do experiments, everything will be accelerated. And this brings us on the fourth biggest limit that in the end is the limit. So our mindset, you can think about not just inside our company, but in our daily life. People don't want to change. It's hard to change a work. It's hard to change, just a way to pay at the bank. Everything is really hard for us. It's out of our comfort zone. And this is not possible with innovation. To innovate, you have to go out of our comfort zone. You have to build your mindset to be curious about what is going on and testing new solutions. And this has to be done in your entire organizations. Bringing diversity inside your organizations. So different type of people with different culture trying to work together. And moreover, you have to see beyond innovation. Okay, innovation is more a journey, How you can, not the final technology, but how you can scout technology, how you can go out and living with technology. Is more an attitude that you have with the innovation. And moreover, you have to know that you're no experts. Normally, we rely a lot with experts. But an expert is someone that is really aware about existed so far. Really know deeply the past of a specific technology or a specific product. But to innovate, you need someone that can see the future of that. So a lot of time we involved just experts to say, tell me what I can do here. But you need a visionary to see what will be next and then hire the expert to make it happen today. So mindset is the biggest limit. You have really to work on it. How we can do that? Start from a strategy of your company, okay? Because normally the business unit is the one that slows down the entire process. You know that I spoken with a chief innovation officer that was hired from a large corporation to identify technology to adapt, to accelerate the entire companies. And he did it for an entire year, promoting and proposing a lot of different solutions to the company. After a year of proposal, no solutions have been adopted. Zero, completely. He was desperate. And this was not because of the innovation department, but because the business department started, is a trend today. Innovation is a trend. Everyone speaks about innovations. Everybody, if you are a company, you must spend money on innovation. But spending money is not enough. And they hire him because it's a trend. But the business unit was not ready to adapt, to really say, okay, we need to make some changes. And changes arrived from the strategy of a company and from the head of the companies in promoting something to the entire company and say, okay, it's not enough having just an innovation department. We need to go deeply inside our company and saying, we need to change something really strong. Okay, we need to do some changes that will drive innovation. Okay, we need to live innovation every day. And so with a good strategy in place, understanding what you want to become in the next years, and also with the freedom to become it. Some companies, a large corporations are started to hire entrepreneur in residence. They hire people that has many years of experience as an entrepreneur and give them the power of a chief innovation officer. Like it's a parallel role with a lot of budgets and say, okay, do stuff, try stuff. The board doesn't have a control of you. You have this budget, you can go out and try to bring opportunities on board without the limitations of a current unit, business unit. Because they understood that you need different rules with innovations. You cannot innovate if you continue to work in the old way. With company culture is another important point because we need to start really from everywhere inside the company. For sure, if you're working with a company, you know that also when you decide something on the head of a company, before the rules, the new things, the new attitude arrive to the bottom of a company, it could take months or years, even years. And things are not always going as you want. So you have to promote innovation culture in your entire company, promoting ideas, getting ideas from your bottom of the companies, because who is working, on the daily operation knows exactly what needs to be improved inside your company, because they are struggling with a lot of stuff and say, we need to explore opportunities here, and there. And you have to start this company starting from the bottom and engage your people continuously with promoting contests, accepting ideas. Also, bringing people from outside, coming inside, let's say, let's share ideas, let's start spin-offs. Let's promoting an internal ventures to start spin-offs inside our companies. Okay, in that way, you keep your people, they are more, and they don't leave with good ideas, and you can grow as a company. Training is part of the process, so there is no doubt. What is current, what we have today, it will be old probably in 3-5 years from now. So we have to continue training ourselves every day about everything. We need to be curious about the world. So you're for sure struggling hiring people, hiring talents today. Because for example, for the new technologies like blockchains, artificial intelligence, there are few people graduating this kind of stuff and so many requests so far into the market. And probably in 3-5 years, when maybe the university can provide more talents on that, we need something different. So we need to train our people internally and continue to train them about growing by themselves. Okay, to teach them to be curious and to continue to update their skills every day. Character is the last part, the last point, but is one of the crucial one. In innovation, there is no spot for egos. So many times, you have this expert genius about something that is so focused on their specific topic, on very specific things, that he thinks that has act everything. He knows everything about that. And I have to tell you that is not that way. So today we are living in a globalized world. And for example, the startup culture today is not just in Silicon Valley, it's everywhere. It's spread out in the entire world. There are really amazing startups, amazing inventions everywhere. And also in a third country can be born the next genius of something. It's not like, it's not depending by the school, by the education, the standard educations. Today, you can find innovations really everywhere. And sometimes with the egos, you are so focused on what you're doing and you think that you have already acted everything in your field that you don't have the humility to go out and try to speak with others. But you need to share ideas with others. You need to share knowledge with others. Because maybe, yes, you have act on important things in your field, but others has act something different that will help you in accelerating what you're doing now. Let me tell a story. The mathematical model example of before was something that I was involved some years ago. And I found this genius in cardiovascular mathematics. I didn't know that existed, It was a really particular things. But I understood that he had something unique. So I started working with him, try to understand how we could change the world with these things. He created the entire cardiovascular system based on mathematical models on the computer to perform medical research on cardiovascular system. During the process, I discovered that there are many mathematical models for the entire physiology of the body, but they are not connected between one of the others. So you can perform medical research on just respiratory system or just cardiovascular system. So we started speaking with a lot of experts inside the world, top universities, top companies, for a year, just to try and collect information about what is possible to do and not to do. And we started assuming that to create an entire digital avatar with the entire physiology of the body could take something like 100 years, just a rough estimation, because it was extremely complex matter, Probably you could divide it by half with right resources, right money, but long vision, extremely complex. After speaking with experts around the world, we understood a lot of different things that help us in figuring out a complex architecture, an IT architecture, that was not really related with mathematical modeling. But with an IT architecture based on serverless, other stuff of technologies, we were able to create an infrastructure to connect all the different existing mathematical models. This made our vision from 100 years to a couple of years. That was incredible. Nobody really believed on that, But it's doable. And they are doing that right now. So they are working on that. And they right now are working with FDA, are working with the top companies in mathematical modeling to work on this vision. So if you are going out, find the people, find the expert, and find a person that has a visionary, that has the capability to connecting the dots between all these kind of experts around the world and bringing down to a possible solution that can happen today, okay? Not in 10 years from now. Thank you very much. I've done for today. As I wrote here, so we run a strategy think tank. Normally, we help companies in accelerating this kind of stuff. So helping them, connecting the dots, and find a way to accelerate the innovation into the market. Happy to take some questions now. Thank you.
So some of your ideas sound very familiar to a concept called the innovator's dilemma, where you spend your time investing in one area, allowing the others to atrophy. I was wondering, you're nodding your head, so you've heard of this before. Can you talk a little bit more about that issue and any suggestions on how to overcome it, especially considering the number of solo entrepreneurs and startup in the room?
Okay, can you just repeat what the point that we want to speak about exactly what?
Well, so the idea that the corporate concept has a very specific goal and target that is almost counter to the idea of being innovative. They want to keep what they've already got and continue to pursue that as opposed to the new.
That's, it's exactly the pain point right now. For example, corporate and startups wants to work together. In the same time, they are not achieving anything. Right now, for example, for a proof of concept, is pilots from between corporate startups, numbers say that most of them are not bringing anything to both of them. Because startups will get some money to do a customization solution for the corporate. This means that you, as a startup, are working a lot of time in building something that is not your core business. It's a customization of what you're doing. And when the pilots don't bring you to anything, you are still at the same point as your technology, your company. You didn't grow. Just have got some money to go to the next month, years, or whatever. In the same way, corporates got some data, something that brings nothing to them. They don't add something because it's not really a match between what the startup is doing and what the company really needs. But it's something like the company go to the startup and try to say, I need this. No, you don't know what you really need. So they arrive to asking really a specific, final solution, final product. But this is the wrong way to work with innovation. You have more to understanding what is available today on the market and what you can bring to your company as it is. Otherwise, you are, following people. So this is because inside the organization, there is no the innovation culture. So they are working in a specific way for 10, 20 years, 30 years, or whatever, and they are going out trying to find something that continue them working in the same way. But you have to do the opposite. Go out and try to bring something that make you work in a totally different ways. And this is, that the mindset issue right now. We need to change this mindset. Otherwise, you cannot go forward with anything. You're welcome. All right. Thank you very much.